Hello and welcome back to the Metamystic Show. Today we are going to read on the first new moon of 2025, and it's a new moon in Aquarius. This new moon is at 9 degrees, which is interesting because that's like the ninth house Sagittarius degree there. So it's a very like philosophical degree. This could be a time where we start to think about what we really believe. And if you are new to following the transits, basically how you can see how this moon is going to affect you is by looking at what house Aquarius is transiting. For me, I have Aquarius in the 6th house. So this moon is really going to be lighting up any sort of new like structures in my routine. It's the Virgo house in my health. Like now would be a great time for me to get my ass to the gym, sort of a thing. All right, I'm going to start off with the Guides of the Hidden Realms Oracle and see what we can pull out for this new moon in Aquarius. I love this deck. It's Colette Baron Reed. I actually went to her Beyond Limits workshop, and it was phenomenal. It was life-changing. It was full of woo-woo folk, just like I like it. And I love her. She's a Cancer. I have a lot of her decks, but I got this one specifically so that I could use it at the conference. It was so freaking awesome. I love her. So yeah, we're gonna use this today and see what the guides have to say to us for this new moon in Aquarius, and then we'll get some tarot. Okay. I'm still getting over a sickness, guys, so bear with me as well. All right, what do we have here? Interesting. All right. Coming out in the reverse, this card is called Ripe, Juicy, and Ready. Poised for success. Potential waiting to be realized. Coming out in the reverse, that would be that we feel like we are not ready for something, but we actually are. Right? Look at this card. Looks like an apple. Maybe you feel like something is forbidden. Like, let me just use this as an example. I used to be a Christian minister. A lot of you guys know my story. And I used to secretly be, like, I would treat crystal shops and woo-woo stuff, witchy stuff. I would treat that as like I was hiding XXX magazines under my bed. That was the equivalent for me. Like, I'd walk past one of those shops with the beautiful crystals, and I would look away. Like, I was looking away from a woman's breasts or something. I was like, I can't look at that. This is a temptation. So, and now here we are. It's part of my purpose, right? So there could be something here where we even feel like there's something that we want to do. There's someone we want to have. Like, say, for example, you have Aquarius in the 7th house. There could be themes coming up for you about relationships during this new moon, right? And maybe you feel like, I don't know if I want to pursue that for whatever reason. But just be open. Just think about what themes could be coming up at this time. But that's more on a specific level. I'm reading today on the new moon itself. So it might not be exact to your situation, but I'm hoping that it will gather the main themes today. So what I'm seeing here is that we're ready for something. We just feel like for some reason we're not. So let's get some tarot and look deeper into that. All right. Somebody said this looks like a Coke tray. I don't know. I thought it was cute. And thank you to everybody for telling me all the different ways to get off the residue from that stupid sticker. Damn you, TJ Maxx, you're always making me buy stuff. Somebody said that they have Venus at 1 degree in Virgo and they never would have bought it to begin with. And you know, I'm a Virgo. I should have thought about that. But I was just like, it's so beautiful. It's for my cards. Okay. I love when you guys leave comments. It's always great to hear from you. Don't be afraid to share. We're going to start off with 3 cards and see what the collective needs to know. Kind of straightened my hair a bit today with a little bit of a flip. What do you guys think? Look at this necklace, by the way, before we get into the cards. How freaking cute is that? It has all the planets. I think I got it at Hot Topic. What do we need to know for this new moon in Aquarius? What are we ready for, but we feel like we're not? Ripe, juicy, and ready. Poised for success. What does it say? Potential waiting to be realized. Yeah, it could also be that. Because look, at the bottom of the deck, we have treasures in the deep and dark. And look, it matches the background, very like celestial. There are things within you that are just waiting to come out, is what I'm getting here. And Aquarius is, you can do anything with Aquarius. You can be anything. You can be anybody. Anything can happen with Aquarius. You know? And so if you're worried about, well, what will people think about me? Do you know how many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars companies spend on marketing to get people to think just that? What will people think of me? What will people think of my company? What will people think of this product? You're lucky if you can get somebody's attention for 2.5 seconds to begin with, right? So you hope people are looking at you sideways because we're so desensitized in today's modern world that it's going to take a hell of a lot for somebody to even pay you mind to begin with. There's also something called Ace of Swords. That's a yes. There's also something called the spotlight effect. It's this feeling of when we walk into a room and we feel like everybody's staring at us, but really that's just not the case. I mean, I'll say it again. If you're lucky, everyone's staring at you. If you're lucky, you're magnetic enough to draw the eyes to you. We need to start thinking about it in a different way. Your currency is people paying attention to you. Your currency is people listening when you talk. Your currency is, we live in a different time, and we are in this Pluto and Aquarius age now, speaking of the new moon in Aquarius, to help usher in this new big energy. If you're not weird, if you're not out there, you're going to be left behind. And what I mean by that is your brand of weird. What is your brand of weird? Right? Oh, well, I feel like I'm going to be judged for like my thoughts and my opinions and what I wear and what I say. Seven of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Now is the time to actually think about all the things that make you you with this Aquarius new moon. Everything that makes you you. Because everybody's a different you. I'm going to find another you, John Mayer. There isn't one. 1, 2, and 3. We have the Judgment card at the bottom of the deck. For some of us here, this Aquarius new moon is helping to unearth not only our hidden potential, but aspects of our callings. Sometimes I see the Judgment card as like, you are coming into your calling. I'm seeing dogs. I'm seeing like stray dogs. Maybe somebody is involved with that sort of work. I'm seeing pies as well. Somebody could be like a baker here. And it's not about making me first millionth dollar, Mr. Krabs. Anybody? It's not about money. You know, Aquarius it's so much bigger than that, right? It's the water bearer. Aquarius, it's 11th house, it's community, it's what matters. It's what joins us together for real, not what marketing tells us joins us together. You know, not what social media convinces us is true and what is not true. What actually binds us together? The truth. We had that Ace of Swords. What's the truth? I was listening to an astrologer, and I listened to a few really amazing people that I trust, and I'm learning a lot. I'm going to be spending the next 30 years down this train. And she was talking about how we're coming into a time of truth. And that's part of that Aquarian energy. And I thought that was really profound. So let's take a look here. Card number 1 is the 5 of Swords. I feel like this has to do a bit with what we were talking about. Hence the in the reverse position of this ripe, juicy, and ready card. The 5 of Swords can be people that cut you down verbally, right? Now, if you're like me and you're on social media, that's just a regular Tuesday, right? I get all sorts of comments, and I'm thankful for all of them. I'm thankful for the bad ones, and I'm thankful for the good ones, because hey, it's kind of just like people throwing coins into the fountain, right? At that point. And I don't mean it monetarily, although that could be true as well. We need to start thinking of things differently. There's a reframe that can happen here where it's like you falling on the ground in front of a cafeteria of people and everybody's eyes turning on you. We need to reframe that. You just got an entire room's attention. Everybody's going to know who you are. That's why I lean into it. Like when I'm in public, like say like if I'm trying to get by somebody, and when you do that little dance, I mean, comedy is my defense mechanism, right? But so basically, like what I do is I lean into it. Like if I have a little moment like that and you're trying to get by somebody, I like go extra with it. I try to make the person laugh, right? Or if I like slam my arm on something when I'm in public, I'll try to like make it extra dramatic, right? Not for attention, but just it's a matter of like reframing our shame, are the words that I'm getting. There's an element of shame coming up here. And when we express ourselves, it depends on what sort of upbringings we had. For me, every single time I expressed myself, well, let me say it this way. I learned to stop expressing myself as a means of protection, right? It's literally my purpose to speak. Like, the majority of my chart is Mercury ruled, right? It's like, this is literally my purpose. Communications is one of the main parts of who I am as a person. So, I don't know about you guys, but if you feel like you can't speak, we're not going to connect with anybody. We're not going to have any friends. We're not going to have lovers. We're not going to have good experiences in life. We're going to be completely alone, isolated, and segregated from society. That doesn't sound like a life to me. And so it depends on where you are on the spectrum. Another way to look at this card here, it's not just about being afraid that people will cut you down verbally, because this is a very cutting card, right? It also can have to do with you cutting out things. Like I'm seeing this fruit, it's like say you have a piece of fruit on a branch and it's rotten. If we don't cut that piece of fruit off this proverbial branch, it will infect the rest of the fruit on that branch. And actually, that could go through the rest of the tree and kill the tree, right? So if we're surrounded by people, one of my favorite quotes of all time is, before you diagnose yourself with anxiety and depression, first make sure you're not just surrounded by assholes, right? And that's giving that, because, I had to learn, and I learned actually by putting myself on the internet. Years ago, I had a channel called Whole Wheat Sandwich, doesn't exist anymore, where I documented my 100-pound weight loss, and my journey to health. This was back in like 2009 when YouTube was like in the, the Arctic ages. Like we had like all the like prehistoric animals walking around and everything, right? So I learned, this was an example of how I learned how to express myself without being judged, without being criticized or corrected. I'm not talking about like, being corrected in a good way. Like, hey, Missy, maybe you should wear your hair a different way that frames your face better. No, I'm talking about like, you should give up on your dreams, and this is why. And here's a 5-point plan as to what your other alternative needs to be. And if you don't follow this, you're not going to be part of the family anymore. So, we have more, depending on your situation, right? That's mine. Maybe yours is similar. If not, you could have experienced that just in public, in your, in your work life, in school. Like maybe you had some bullying in school, or maybe you're just shy. Maybe you have a hard time speaking out because you don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of the unknown coming through here today. But it could also just be that you need to cut out things that are blocking the treasures from coming out from you. And we all have different gifts. We all have different skills. We all have different personalities even. You might think like, oh, well, it's just a world for extroverts. No, it's not. There's all sorts of groups. There's all sorts of people. There's room for everybody, and in fact, we need to take up that space, because that's Aquarius. It's 11th house, right? Excuse me? Take a sip of this while I'm waiting for that beeping sound to cease. Max Keeble's big move, right? The principal, cease! It worked. Okay. The power of the tongue. Yeah, see, some of us were meant to speak. Some of us are meant to write. Some of us are meant to express in different ways that we are holding ourselves back because of this 5 of Swords. And why? Oh, what I was going to say before, though, is the way that I started to learn how to express myself in a safe way. Believe it or not, it was actually safer on the internet for me than in my surroundings at that time. So I started putting myself out there and just being myself. And I was just like, F it. I'm going to try this, right? I'm just going to actually be myself and see what happens. And I started getting involved with communities. Back then, we were using like Stickum. Let me know if you remember those. It was like a pre-Zoom where you could put everybody out on the screen at that time. This was like 2009, 2010. This was years ago. And I met up with all these different people, and I connected, and I put myself out there on Instagram, and I posted my recipes and my weight loss, and I showed myself. I had my wacky sense of humor. I put it out there, and unbeknownst to the previous version of myself, people actually seemed to like me. And I was like, wait a minute. This is a paradigm shift. There's something about a paradigm shift happening here. But that paradigm shift can only happen if we take the risk to put ourselves out there. The 5 of Swords can also be a card of risk. All right, let's move forward. Card number 2 is that Ace of Swords. I'm glad it came into the spread. This is also showing me that these people don't hold the truth. You do. Even if you are faced with people that don't understand you, welcome to Aquarius, first of all, right? Second of all, even if it's like a super tough crowd, let's put it that way. Excuse me. One man's tough crowd is another man's training ground, number one. Number two, maybe you got tomatoed in that room, but in another room, you'll be exalted. It's all how you look at it. Maybe you just need to change rooms, like I did, right? Where I could express and be fully myself. I could not express and be fully myself when I was a Christian minister. I had to live a double life, right? And I still have a lot of I carry some of my beliefs that I used to believe. But I am grateful for this new truth that I hold now, which is connecting with all of you in this beautiful world of astrology, tarot, oracle cards, divination, crystals. The world is so much bigger than I thought it was. There's so many more points of view than I understood. Growing up in a conservative Christian environment, I was not allowed to veer out. And I'm just using my story as an example, guys, to help you see some of the energy. I was raised with, I couldn't read certain books that were outside of the Christian paradigm. I had to read books that were Christian only. I couldn't really be a part of pop culture. I had to listen to only Christian music. It segregated me from the rest of society, but I would always secretly do what I called my research, where I would look into a topic and I would become engrossed in that topic, secretly, of course. And I would feel guilty for it at the time because I'm like, Lord, is this okay for me to be looking at? And then I told myself, this is a very like Aquarius energy right here with the Ace of Swords, right? It's like it's kind of Gemini as well here. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. That cough, right? I was like half dead at this Beyond Limits conference. I barely thought I was actually going to make it. I had a really crazy scare where I actually thought I was going to have to go to the hospital one night. I couldn't breathe and all the color drained out of my face. And I felt like I was going out of my body. I know this sounds dramatic and I wasn't even going to say this. I don't know why I'm saying it. I guess because I have the Ace of Swords here and they're like, you got to tell the truth, nothing but the truth. It almost felt like a near-death experience. Really. I was like counting the seconds. It was actually very scary. And you know what? A lot of times when I'm going into a new thing in my life, I feel like I almost die with the Beyond Limits, and I feel like I'm kind of moving into a new thing. You guys know what I mean by that. With the Judgment card, it's like you kind of do die and rise again in a sense. So I feel like some of us here are going to be experiencing that, a change in beliefs. I'm hearing a changing of the guard. You may find that your truth is different than you originally thought it was, or it's just an expansion of the truth that you already knew. And if you come into a new version of yourself, right, there's always going to be people that are like, we miss the old you. What happened to you? You didn't seem to be like that before. Well, if you're the same from year to year, I have questions. Because we live in an ever-changing universe. Even from transit to transit, from moon to moon, the freaking world is changing. So what do you mean you've changed? Of course I've effing changed. Right? I hope we're changing. I hope we're evolving our consciousness. I hope we're taking in other people's opinions, and we're listening to controversial subjects. Like, for some reason, this is coming through as a podcast to me right now, where people are like arguing back and forth with the Five of Swords. It doesn't always have to be extremely negative. It is a card that says there is no winning on either side, but that can happen sometimes, right? When we have big personalities and people are arguing back and forth on different topics and stuff, sometimes it does feel like it's a lose-lose, right? But at the end of the day, that's the beauty of life. And that's always been my greatest interest, is understanding different people's truths, different cultures' truths, different schools of thought, different religions. Speaking of the 9-degree Aquarius new moon, right? Philosophies, subjects, personalities, different clothes even. Like, I had a period of time where I was just obsessed with fashion, and I'm always obsessed with fashion, but it's like I find those things fascinating. The things that make us different from each other is what fascinates me even more so, and that's Aquarius. And so I feel like that this new moon is calling us to look at those things with the Ace of Swords. What makes you you? Not what makes you the same as everybody else so that you can fit in, you can get ahead in life, or, because if I'm the same as this group of people, I have a chance at that promotion. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be smart and play the stupid game when we have to, especially if we need to pay our bills and stuff like that, right? But if we keep compromising, the only person that we're cutting is ourselves. And for me, that was literal, unfortunately, trigger warning. Because if you get so far from yourself, you're like out in space. I had a dream when I was like 8 years old, and it was a reoccurring dream that I was just floating out in space, just like this background here. And I was all alone, and my entire family and everybody I knew came flying by on a spaceship, and I saw them through the windows, and they were all just waving, and I was just out there by myself. And you can get further and further and further away from yourself, and from, sometimes that's a good thing, that we need to get away from certain people. I feel in this case, in my dream, for me, that was saying back when I was like 8 years old that I was different and that I needed to be strong. And even if I felt like I was out in the middle of nowhere, to believe in my truth and believe who I was and what I was seeing and what I was understanding, because the universe would give me dreams and prophetic insights and stuff at a very young age. And so what I was going to say back here with the Five of Swords and the Ace of Swords, you're the one holding the sword, not them. Nobody can give you your own truth, right? No matter what anybody says, you're the one holding the sword. Right? So there's an element of that here, of owning it. Own yourself. Like, own your treasures. You don't want to live anybody else's life, even if it's on a subconscious level, because, society moves with the current that it moves within. And there's also an element of Aquarius where it's the oneness. So I'm not saying that we should other ourselves. I'm saying we should be a group full of others, right? That's Aquarius. It's everybody's themselves, but we're together. Everybody is their own self without changing themselves to morph into the group. But at the same time, we're living life together. We're doing life as one, yet separate. And that's the beauty of Aquarian energy. Card number 3 is that Six of Swords moving us through. Look at that. Look at these swords. Very cerebral, very thought-provoking, very Aquarius. Some of us are going to have some sort of a revelation that we cannot reach our success or live our truths in the way that we want to in the position that we're in now. And some of us are realizing that we have to move away from certain things. For some of us, it's move away from certain ideologies that hold us back. And that could even be something as simple as like, wow, I'm not good enough. What do you mean you're not good enough? You have that inside of you. Not everybody has that inside of them. Like if I have a desire to open up a dog shelter, I mean, you're lucky to get somebody to want to do that. How meaningful is that life? You have a group full of 50 people. How many people in that group have the desire to open up a dog shelter? Maybe a couple, I would hope, right? What you have inside of yourself, it's not random. And if you have that desire, you can do it. That's my opinion, of course, but with the Judgment card having to do with purpose today, if it's in you, you're it. If it's there, that's you. right? And I feel like what stops us a lot of the time is actually all of this garbage here with the Five of Swords. And this can be this can be happening inside of ourselves. Sorry, I'm stuttering. This doesn't have to be other people, but sometimes it can start that way, especially if we, a lot of us grew up in challenging environments where we didn't feel safe, or, even later in life, we go through a terrible breakup that ruins our self-esteem, whatever. A lot of us go through crap, right? We live in a society, my opinion, that is... Most people have PTSD, right? Especially after the stuff we've faced in the world over the last few years, right? And it's only going to become... We're going to need each other more than ever. So if these other people can't get on the program, they can't get on the boat to understanding that it's more powerful to join together than to separate. If they can't get on that boat, we can't force them. I'm getting the Titanic analogy right now. It's unfortunate, and that's just the state of the cosmos, and that's why more than ever this Aquarian energy it's just going to be revolutionary with this Pluto in Aquarius. And this new moon in Aquarius is kind of just like a tip of the hat. It's a tip of the iceberg to what we're about to experience over these next 20 years. I think there's going to be a lot of good that happens, but with Pluto there, not everybody's going to agree that it's a good thing, because Pluto can be the destroyer, right? With this judgment Pluto energy, it's like I was explaining to you guys before, I felt like I actually had a near-death experience. Literally, as I'm going to this conference, I was led to go to that, right? And I know when God moves me, God moves me. When the universe moves me, the universe moves me, and I go with it on the boat. And some of you might have a similar experience like that. Now, for me, that was a very scary experience, yet, as I'm looking at this card, Death Reclaims a Life. Letting go, the sacred quality of death, natural endings, and grief. The sacred quality of death with the Judgment card. It's like dying and rising again. That's what I'm trying to explain here. It's like a situation that could feel very scary is actually, it's a revolution. It's a regeneration. It's a rising from the dead into new life. It's a new version of you. Is part of the opportunity that we have with this energy, because it's much bigger than this moon. I'm tapping into the bigger transit of Pluto and Aquarius, but this moon specifically can really help us to begin to tap into that. So beautiful. I hope that this was helpful. Very deep, profound energies having to do with like, I'm hearing self-sovereignty. Yeah, possibly some of you are going to be breaking away from groups that don't support you, and joining new ones, hopefully. We don't know where they're going exactly, and that's part of life. We don't always know where we're going. All we know is that we can't stay here. We can't heal in the same place that hurt us. And this could be metaphorical. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm moving. It could be like, I'm going to stop going to that group because the people there are cliquish. They feel like they don't want individuality. They want everybody to be the same. And then when somebody else is a little bit outside of that, a little bit Aquarian, a little bit different, there's a problem. So you might have to move away from that. Or, you might have to move away from your own self-criticism. Like, oh, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. Those are the sorts of things that could possibly be coming to the surface for this new moon in Aquarius. Again, it is happening on January 29th, 7:35 a.m., and that's EST at 9 degrees. That'll be on Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. So I love you guys so much. It's been Missy Gordon, the Metamystic here. I hope that this reading was helpful to you. Got my moon. Remember, you can always listen to the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, The Metamystic Show, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. EST. love having you guys on the YouTube channel. Leave your comments down below, any thoughts that you have, any experiences that you're having. And come back to this video on the day if you want to, and leave in the comments what you're experiencing, what this moon could be bringing up for you. And if you want to book a personal, you can always do so. Just pop me an email and we can book you a personal reading. I do written email readings as well as pre-recorded video if you are interested. And thank you to those who donate as well. I so deeply appreciate your donations. You guys, you help make this possible. You help make this show possible. And I love each and every one of you. And I'm sending you love. And I'll see you on the next one.